Hello everyone, Genki here, and today we're going to see if I can beat Skyrim as a Cleric. I wanted to do a Restoration Magic run, but I didn't want it to just become a Poison Rune run. Now, what do I mean by Cleric? Well, Clerics are holy men, so along with being able to use Restoration Magic, we'll be using a mace. I don't know the reason why priests and clerics use maces in RPGs, but I've heard a few theories. I heard people say that clergymen can't shed blood, so they're not allowed to use swords. However, I'm pretty sure a mace can shed blood. The second theory I heard was that clergymen were poor, so they couldn't afford swords, which is why they didn't use them. Either way, along with these two restrictions, we're not allowed to wear any armor, not even gauntlets or boots. Lastly, healing potions are not allowed. I am still allowing magic potions though. For our character, I went as an Imperial for the boost to our restoration skill. We then said hi to Alduin, before escaping Helgen with Hadvar. We couldn't do anything at the start, so we needed to rely on Hadvar until we could reach the torture room. There, we got an iron mace and a pair of novice mage robes. I decided to exclude the hood, since I felt it didn't fit aesthetically. With this, we can now ply our way through the rest of the dungeon and make our way outside. We activated the Mage Stone to boost our restoration XP, before making our way to Riverwood. I sold all the stuff from Helgen and bought lesser ward from Lucan before going to Bleak Falls Barrow. The bandits at the front brought us to level 2, where we put points into health and grabbed the Novice Restoration perk. We then took on the Frostbite Spider. We rushed at the spider's face. When it eventually poisoned us, we easily healed off the damage, thanks to healing now taking half magicka. We took out the spider with no trouble. Next up was the Draugr section. We didn't have access to any of the spells that could damage undead, so we had to continue plowing through them with our mace. We did hit level 3, where we took the regeneration perk, making healing spells 50% stronger. Time for the boss of the dungeon, a Draugr Overlord. With the Overlord starting in a coffin, we managed to get it to almost half before the Overlord could damage us. However, when it swung, it hurt. We were at 4 KO. We had to hide behind the chest to heal once, but the Overlord never followed us, allowing us to rush at it and finish it off. We could now take the Dragonstone and make our way to Whiterun. The Khajiit caravan was in town. We sold our loot, getting us to level 4, and bought a mage backpack for 20 more magicka. I took the Armsman perk to boost our mace damage. At Dragon's Reach, we bought fast healing and turned lesser undead from Farengar. We then took on our first dragon. Since we had no armor, I was expecting to die a lot, but I discovered a game changer. Lesser Ward completely blocks dragon shouts. However, we couldn't do it mid-shout. This didn't make the fight too much easier, as the dragon's physical attacks took us out in 2 hits. On the next attempt, we stayed towards the front of the tower, allowing airlift from the guards to easily get in more hits, as we kept the dragon's attention. Upon return to the Jarl, we were then tasked with scaling the 7,000 steps. However, first we took a trip to the blacksmith, where we bought a steel mace. We then went to Belethor's, and thanks to being Imperial, we had enough money to buy a circular restoration, reducing our spell cost by 12%. I decided to make the trip to Ivarstead from Whiterun. We headed east, and took the path up the mountain past the Ritual Stone, to make our trip to Ivarstead pretty danger-free. We must have been at a pretty low level, because the usual Ice Wolf didn't spawn, instead 2 normal wolves. The Frost Troll of course did spawn, but we just ran past it. No way we're beating it at level 4 with no armor. We entered High Hrothgar, where we were screamed at by a group of old men, before being told to go raid a tomb. They do know I am a holy man, right? Well, I decided to put it off later. We made our way to Riften, where we headed southeast. I was looking for a specific cave, when we were attacked by a thief. The thief took us to level 5, where we took Apprentice Restoration. This made fast healing only cost 26 magicka for 75 HP in healing. We then encountered a dual-wielding Khajiit, and I don't mean another thief. This one was a lot tougher than the thief. All we could do was back up and heal, until we got in enough damage to take him out. We eventually found the cave, which contained Fort Dawnguard. This was my first time doing any of the Skyrim's DLCs. Inside the fort, we found Isran and a Vigil of Stendar. We were then tasked with checking out a cave filled with vampires called Dim Hollow Crypt. I first took a trip back to Riverwood, where we had a battle with Murex cultists. Lesser Ward was enough to block their firebolts and allow us to take out one of the cultists by ourselves. The other one got stuck in the water and got taken out by the guards. I decided to use the robes, since they offer 75% magic regen versus our current robes 50%. At the crypt, we encountered 2 vampires and a death hound. We were obviously in no position to take them head on. It was time to use Turn Lesser Undead. I used it on the death hound. This allowed us to rush in on the 2 vampires, who both went down in 2 hits of our mace. The rest of the dungeon following this was just pure chaos. Vampires and skeletons and death hounds everywhere. At one point, we had to go so far back towards the entrance that the enemies de-aggroed, in order for us to come back and take them out. Towards the end, we spotted a battle between a master vampire and a giant frostbite spider. We waited until one of them was defeated, in this case the spider. We then came in and just barely took out the master vampire, who was at under half health. Past this was the main chamber, where we encountered a named vampire named Lokil. I wonder if he's related to Lokir from the intro. Lokil proceeded to kick our ass so hard, it was as red as an apple. I had to reset back to our latest save outside Dim Hollow, which was back at Fort Dawnguard. We were drastically underleveled, so it was time to grind. I first made a trip to Whiterun, where we had to fight the cultists again, and then went around the area and started clearing out bandit camps. At Fort Greymore, we hit level 6 and took the 2nd rank of Armsman. Following the clearing of Silent Moon's camp, we found a Warhammer with a fire enchantment at War Maidens. I then bought a Greater Soldier from Farngar, so we could enchant our steel mace with 10 points of fire damage. At Holted Stream Camp, we somehow got 2 bandit chiefs, one on the outside and one on the inside. With the money we got, we bought some one-handed lessons from Amarin, hit level 7, taking the 1st rank of Bonebreaker. Our mace will now ignore 25% of an opponent's armor. With that, I was done with Whiterun. Next up was Winterhold, where I opened up access to the college. Farada needed us to summon a Flame Atronak. However, we couldn't. Currently we had 130 magicka. The spell required 132. Thankfully we had potions that increased our magical pool. Once inside the college, I completely avoided Maribel in search of Colette, the restoration trainer. At the moment we only had enough gold for 2 levels. Time to return to Morthal. This time, as we arrived in the city, we were attacked by a dragon. It was Lesser Wartime. Also, we got Frost Dragon, so it'll be weak to our fire enchantment. Or at least it will be once it lands on the ground. Finally! The dragon took us to level 8, but we took Armsman rank 3. Outside Morthal, just past Dim Hollow, was the Lord Stone. This gave us a free 50 armor rating and a 25% resistance to magic. The enemies in Dim Hollow Crypt were now a lot easier. Against Lokil, we were actually making visible damage to his health bar. He tried to flee at the end, but we finally got him. This allowed us to interact with the puzzle in the room, revealing Serana, a vampire with an Elder Scroll. She asked us to take her home, so we agreed. However, the game wouldn't let us go backwards. We had to proceed forward. This activated a battle with 2 gargoyles. I led one of them back to the puzzle, where for some reason, Serana was still there. With her assistance, we took down the gargoyle. The second one was waiting back where it activated. Ooh, that kick was nice. Past this, we had to battle a bunch of Draugrs, including an Overlord, but we were way stronger than we were back at Bleakfall Barrow. Once outside, we went back towards the entrance, because I forgot to get the Vigilance robes from the beginning of the crypt. The Vigilant of Stendar was wearing Apprentice robes of Restoration, further lowering the cost of our restoration spells, while also having 75% magic regen that the Occultist robes provided. We then made our way to Castle Volkihar, where we were introduced to Lord Harkon. Lord Harkon offered to make us a Vampire Lord, but a Vampire Priest wasn't quite what I was going for this playthrough. Upon returning back to Idron, we informed him of the situation, and he sent us to go get reinforcements. First was Gunmar, who was around Riften. He was tracking a bear that went into a cave, and he won't join us until we deal with the bear. Thankfully, the enemies in the cave changed depending on our level. We only had to deal with wolves, but I've seen other people fight through caves of trolls or spiders. Next was Serene, who was around Markarth. She was closer to the boat towards the castle, so I started from there. Following that, we reached Hell, It was saber cats galore. It was nuts. When we reached Serene, she needed us to give her a single dormer gyro, which we got from her backpack that was literally 10 steps away from her. Back at Fort Dawnguard, Isran decided to test if we were vampires by shining moonlight on us. However, more importantly, by talking to Serene, we can access a new spell, Sunfire, a restoration spell that does damage to undead. Now, I know that tome looks like a destruction spell, but trust me, it's a restoration spell. Also at Fort Dawnguard was Serana, who had decided her father was not trustworthy enough for an Elder Scroll. This was also the filler point in the story. Serana told us a normal person could not read the Elder Scroll. We needed a moth priest to read it, which we know is not really true. Coincidentally, there was a moth priest in Skyrim. However, it seemed the vampires got to him first. He was in a cave near Dragon's Bridge. I got my first chance to use Sunfire on our Death Hound, and it did decent damage. I discovered Sunfire did not work on thralls, which I guess makes sense. They're possessed dead bodies, not an undead. With the thralls dead, we encountered Malchus, who got stuck on some geometry, allowing us to take him to half health with Sunfire, before taking him out with our mace. We can now use the stone we got from Malchus's body to free the moth priest, Dexian, who was currently enthralled. We died to Dexian twice, before finally taking him out and doing his enthrallment. Back at Fort Dawnguard, Dexian read the Elder Scroll just by simply opening it. He revealed to us that we needed to find Ariel's bow, and that we needed 2 more Elder Scrolls to find it. Serana told us her mom was in a possession of an Elder Scroll, but she went missing. We could potentially find clues to her whereabouts at the castle. However, first, by talking to Serene, she will tell us we need more help. She told us of a man named Florentius. Isran was hesitant about recruiting Florentius, but he soon agreed. Last Isran heard, the guy was helping some vigilants of Stendar at a cave named Brunwald. Once we reached the cave, we found all of the vigilants in the cave had become enthralled, but we were more than a match for them. At the end, we found a named vampire named Munor. She was considerably weaker than Dexian. With her dead, we can free Florentius. Florentius is a little cuckoo. He supposedly is able to communicate with Arcane. Anyway, the reason we needed him was because he sells us 2 more spells, Vampire's Bane and Stendar's Aura. Vampire's Bane was a better Sunfire. At the moment we couldn't use Stendar's Aura, but it's the cloak spell you see Isran use after you return from Castle Volkihar for the first time. We cannot meet up with Serana at Castle Volkihar. The outside of the castle was guarded by skeletons. Vampire's Bane was doing pretty good damage. It was an adept level spell, so it consumed our magicka like crazy. Also, I needed to be careful with it at close range. I didn't want to blind the people watching this video. Inside, the enemies we were encountering were not that tough. But then we found a giant frostbite spider. We had to let Serana pull aggro to allow us to heal and take it out from behind. We then made it to the castle's courtyard, where we needed to solve a puzzle on a big moon dial in the center, unlocking a staircase. The area, for some reason, was guarded by skeletons and gargoyles, who were only slightly easier than the ones back at Dim Hollow. Also, can someone explain to me how the skeleton archers are so tanky? At least now we had enough magicka to use Stendar's Aura. With them defeated, we could reach Serana's mother's study. Serana's mother had been researching how to enter the Soul Cairn, a realm which contains all the souls that have been soul trapped. To enter, we had to either get partially soul trapped or become a vampire. We obviously took the former. Inside the Soul Cairn, we found Serana's mother, Valerica, who will give us an Elder Scroll, but we need to free her from her current imprisonment. This required fighting these 3 giant shadowy guys in dragonbone armor named Keepers. They each had different weapons. One had a battle axe, one had a mace, and one had a bow. We beat the battle axe and mace Keepers by having Serana tank for us, while we hit it from behind. The bow one though, I decided to go ranged, swerving in and out of view while throwing Vampire's Banes at it. We got this fun kill cam of the Keeper falling off the structure we were on. However, I could never find it on the ground to get his black soldier. On the way back to Valerica, I found Arvak's skull, so I decided to return it to its owner, who gave us the ability to summon Arvak back at Skyrim. When we reached Valerica, she warned us that we would attract the attention of the dragon Durnavir, and sure enough, as we entered the next room, There he was. Durniver has the ability to summon ads, but they were nothing more than a nuisance. The issue was getting Durniver to land. When he did, we were doing good damage, but we still needed to be mindful of Durniver's physical attacks. We eventually took him down. With Durniver defeated, we could get the Elder Scroll, collect the soul gem containing our soul, and return to Skyrim. That's 2 scrolls down, 1 to go. We made a trip back to Whiterun, in order to use Farngard's Arcane Enchanter. I had taken the Enchanter and Fire Enchanter perks, allowing us to make a new mace with 15 points of fire damage. We then went to Winterhold. North of the college, we could find Septimus Cygnus. We got the Human Sphere and Blank Lexicon from him, and made our way to the Dwarven ruins at Alftan. We were making easy work of all the robots, thanks to our new mace and Serana. When we reached the Falmer, Serana did almost go down, but it was not that bad. When we reached the area with the Falmer Skulker, we decided to focus his attention on Serana, allowing us to take him out on our first try. For the Drummer Centurion, I decided to at least try it, and with the tried and true Serana tank strat, we took him out on our first try. Crack shot, Black Reach. The enemies were proving quite troublesome, so I tried to avoid them the best I could, making our way to the Tower Mazark and getting our final Elder Scroll. Back at Fort Dawnguard, we found ourselves facing a blind Dexian. He apparently was too hasty reading the scroll, and didn't do the proper ritual. We needed to visit an area called Ancestor Glade. One of them happened to be outside Falkreath. I decided to take a side trip to Riften. By visiting the Hall of the Dead, we could talk to Alessandra. Alessandra had a hatred towards her late father, because their family occupation made it hard for her to make friends as a kid, but she was ready to make amends. She wanted us to take her dagger to the Hall of the Dead in Whiterun, so that the dagger can be buried with her father. When you do this, and have restoration level of 40 and up, Alessandra gives the player with every base game adept restoration spell. The biggest one I was excited for was Closed Wounds, which heals 150 HP thanks to regeneration. I decided to take Arvak to the Ancestor Glade. I had never ridden a horse in this game until now, so the experience was weird, but we made it to the cave. Inside, we needed to take a special knife and cut some tree bark. We then needed to go and collect some moths. These moths apparently gave us the power to read all 3 scrolls at the same time. This revealed the location we needed to go to, Darkfall Cave. However, as we were exiting the cave, we were attacked. A couple of vampires, including a master vampire, some thralls, and a giant frostbite spider. We died a lot. We first focused on the thralls, as Serana had the master vampire's attention. We then took out the spider. With all the ads gone, we could focus on the 2 vampires and take them out. We had a bunch of money, so I made a trip to college to do some training. We got all the way to 48 restoration. I was hoping I could pickpocket the money back, but it was not working, so we're off the Darkfall Cave. The cave was located in the Reach. It was really just a bunch of spiders, but then we came across a few trolls. Thankfully, trolls are weak to fire. Past the trolls, we found Knight Paladin Gelibor. Gelibor told us that his brother, the Archcurate, watches over the bow, but he has turned evil. We needed to travel to all of Ariel's way shrines and fill the basins in the center with water. We first needed to battle our way through a cave of Falmer, until we reached a part of the cave with void animals. There, we could find the way shrine of Illumination. This allowed us entry into the Forgotten Vale. This area was beautiful. We quickly found the 3rd and 4th way shrine, but I got completely lost trying to find the last one. The map led us over an ice field, where we got attacked by 2 dragons. Their fire breath was not really that strong. It was just annoying since there was 2 of them. Down goes one dragon, and there goes the other. Eventually, we found a Falmer camp hanging in the mountaintops. This led us to a cave, where we found the last way shrine and the chantry, where the Archcurate and the bow were located. In the first room, we found a bunch of frozen enemies with items and potions. One of them had an amulet of health, which I took, causing the enemy to come to life. It was not that difficult. Deeper into the chantry, we found the Archcurate, who was waiting for us. He then brought to life all the frozen enemies in the room. First were the Shorses, who we died to once. I had to make sure not to let them gang up on us. Next came the Frozen Falmer, who were frankly easier than the Shorses. The Archcurate, Virther, then summoned a Frost Atronach. We were surrounded, when a piece of roof fell in front of us. I'm pretty sure this helped us a lot in defeating the Falmer and the Astronaut. Uther then blew up the rest of the roof before fleeing away. It was here he revealed he was a vampire, and he was responsible for the prophecy. Uther used the Frost Cloak, and it was just dangerous in melee range. So I started to battle by spamming Vampire's Bane, as Uther battled Serana. He then pushed Serana off the ledge, and started hitting us with spells, doing a lot of damage. We needed to make a temporary retreat to heal, before coming back and taking out Bertha with our mace. We could not grab Rael's bow, which we couldn't use, per our challenge rules. We were ready to raid Castle Volkar with the Dawn Guard. At first we made a trip to Whiterun, to sell some stuff and reach level 15, where we were finally able to get the Adept Restoration perk. I then went to raid Rainium in Solitude, to buy some boots and gloves. I put a Resist Frost enchantment on the boots, and a Fortified Magica enchantment on the gloves. My original plan at the castle was to kill every vampire before getting to Harkon, but it was proving more difficult than I first thought. Once I had the vampire's attention, I lured them back to the top of the stairs, where we could split the vampire's attention between us and Serene. This gave us the breathing room we needed to take out the vampires. We then rushed towards the cathedral to face Lord Harkon. With Lord Harkon defeated, I finally separated from Serana, as she was still a vampire, and returned to the main quest. Time to enter Ustengroth at level 15. Thankfully, the Necromancer at the beginning was still just an apprentice. Also, the Draugrs had not increased in level too much, as we were still facing a lot of level 1 Draugrs. Sunfire, Vampire's Bane, plus our mace were enough to clear through all the undead. The growing Frostbite Spider at the end did change to a giant Frostbite Spider though. That proved to be a challenge, but fast healing was enough for us to tank the spider and complete the dungeon. We could now return to Riverwood, talk to one of the most annoying NPCs, and proceed to our umpteenth dragon fight. Unfortunately, we were at a high enough level that Solicaner was a fire dragon instead of frost. However, we were also strong enough that it didn't matter. Onto the Thalmor Embassy. We were in and out in about 5 minutes. We even saved Malborn. Next up was another trip to Riften, where we needed to make our way through the Ratway. Upon recruiting Esbern, we normally had to face a mage with an annoying Frost Atronach, but for some reason he never showed up. If you don't believe me, I'll show you the whole trip back to Ragaflagon. Oh, wait. Esbern didn't follow us out. Aha! There you are! By the way, if it feels like I'm just speeding through this, it's because I am. After our battle with Lord Harkon, the rest of the game only took us like 3 hours. With Esbern now following us, we made our way back to Riverwood, where Esbern told us to go to Skyhaven Temple and the Reach. When we reached the scripted dragon fight, I made sure to have Lesser Wood ready. It was still blocking all damage despite the dragon being a blood dragon. When the dragon finally landed, we were doing good damage, but then it flew off, and started playing with the Forsworn, who got the dragon under half. However, then a group of Forsworn who had drifted away from their camp noticed us. Thankfully, the dragon was preoccupied, as I had to take on a high level Forsworn. When we got back to the dragon, it had barely any health left, but we got on the final hit. Us, Esbern, and Delphine then proceeded to clear the whole Forsworn camp, before arriving at Skyrim Temple. At the temple, we were told that a shout was needed to beat Aldwin, so we're back to the Greybeards, who told us how to scream at clouds. This gave us access to the Third of the World, where we met Parthenax. Parthenax informed us we need an Elder Scroll to learn the shout. An Elder Scroll we coincidentally already had, so it was time to battle Aldwin. For some reason for this battle, the game was not making a sound when we hit Aldwin. I was seeing his health go down, so I knew we were doing damage, there was just no sound. Aldwin decided he wanted to use Frost Breath on us, which I found weird since we resist frost to a degree thanks to our boots. We forgot to use Drag Run a few times, but the battle for the most part was switching between Lesser Ward and our best healing spell, Close Wounds. When we got Aldwin grounded, I forgot to pay attention to our health, so I backed up to heal when Aldwin switched to Fire Breath, nearly blinding us. However, with just a few more swings, Aldwin went down. We now had to do the most boring part of the run, the Peace Council, before we could summon Odahviing, and then trap Odahviing, before he could take us to Skuldolphin. Does anyone feel like Durnevere should be able to take us to Skuldolphin? Then again, how would Durnevere know where it was? At level 16, the Draugrs were still only Restless and regular Draugrs. For variety, I did bring back out Vampire's Bane. The Draugr Overlord at the end went down only 4 Vampire's Banes, which oddly enough was the same amount we needed to take out a Restless Draugr. We then went outside, where I decided to throw a couple Vampire's Banes at Knockgreen, which actually gave him enough time to shut down the portal. I started fighting the Dragon Priest, but he just had too many ads. Now, I could have just ran past him without attacking him, but I decided to take this personally, and force myself to beat Knockgreen. Here's my successful attempt. We focused on the Draugrs first, taking out one of the Draugr Whites before taking out a Restless. We were getting blasted by Dragon Breath on 2 sides when we took out the final Draugr. It was now just us and the dragons. The Fire Dragon was first, but with no distractions, we easily tanked his attacks and took it out. The Frost Dragon then immediately landed, and we dealt with it just as easily. Yes, I saw there was a third dragon, but he was just chilling, so I let him be. All that remained was Knockgreen. Knockgreen started at half health, but he was incredibly tanky. We started by spamming Vampire's Bane. When we got Knockgreen's attention, he summoned a Storm Atronach. Now that's not fair. I used the stairs to our advantage, avoiding the Atronach's attacks as we hit Knockgreen with our own ranged spells. We were using a lot of potions, but as we got Knockgreen to a small amount of health, we rushed in, finishing him off with our mace. Turns out Knockgreen's mask reduces the cost of restoration spells. Too bad it's heavy armor. With the Dragon Priest staff back in the pedestal, we entered Sovngarde. We need to enter the Hall of Valor, but that meant fighting Soon. We could easily heal off Soon's normal attacks, but I made sure to avoid power attacks, since they could potentially one-shot us. Our mace was doing plenty of damage, but I was pretty sure it was the extra damage that came from the fire enchantment that helped us beat Soon on our first try. Onto our final battle with Aldwin. That battle was roughly the same as the first. This time though, we had the Nord heroes to help us, so Aldwin's health did go down faster. This time, Aldwin started with Fire Breath and then switched to Frost Breath. However, it didn't really matter as he went down. We beat Skyrim as a Cleric. That was pretty fun. I wonder how well I can construct other RPG classes in this game. Thank you to everyone who watched this video. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you all next time, where I'll have a video. I'm not entirely sure on what yet.